My brothers and sisters, life will test you with loss, with fear, with pain, and with disappointment. But the difference between those who break and those who rise is not what they face, but how they think. When your mind is anchored in Allah, no trial can defeat you. The Quran tells us, do not grieve, indeed Allah is with us. 940. This is the mindset of the believer, to train your thoughts, to strengthen your heart, and to become mentally unbreakable with Allah by your side. 1. Training the mind begins with the heart. The mind is like a wild horse. It runs where the heart allows it. If your heart is filled with fear, doubt, or desire for dunya, the mind will follow that direction. But if your heart is anchored in Allah, your thoughts will begin to align with peace, purpose, and clarity. This is why in Islam, purification doesn't start with the brain, it starts with the qalb, the heart. Because once the heart is sincere, the mind becomes disciplined. Many people try to train their mind through logic, strategy, or self-help methods. But if the heart is corrupt or disconnected from its creator, no technique will bring lasting peace. Allah reminds us in the Quran, indeed, it is not the eyes that are blind, but the hearts within the chests that are blind. 22:46. You don't need more worldly knowledge. You need more spiritual grounding. A heart that is filled with dhikr, remembrance of Allah, begins to calm the storm of the mind. When you say Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil in the middle of stress, your thoughts begin to shift. The panic reduces, the mind obeys what the heart believes. If the heart believes in Allah's promise, the mind stops obsessing over every problem. Mental strength in Islam is not about suppressing emotions, it's about understanding them through the lens of faith. When you're angry, the heart reminds the mind, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said the strong one is not the one who can overpower others, but the one who can control himself in anger. That reminder creates mental resilience. Faith gives feelings direction. The Prophet went through unimaginable stress, loss of children, betrayal by his people, physical threats, and yet his mind remained clear. Why? Because his heart never wavered in its connection to Allah. If your heart stays awake with love and fear of Allah, your mind won't be imprisoned by this world's noise. It will know when to fight, when to wait, and when to let go. Every time you pray with sincerity, you're not just cleansing your sins, you're also softening your heart. And when your heart softens, your mind becomes less reactive. You stop arguing to prove a point, stop replaying painful memories, and stop overthinking what others say. This is the power of prayer on the heart-mind connection. In a world filled with anxiety, the strongest mind is the one trained to pause, to reflect, to breathe, and to trust. That pause is not taught by motivational speakers. It's taught by the Qur'an, which constantly says, will they not reflect or will they not ponder? The Qur'an doesn't just guide, it trains the mind through the heart. You can memorize 1,000 affirmations, but if your heart doesn't believe Allah is enough, your mind will crumble in hardship. On the other hand, a heart that says, Inna ma'iya Rabbi, indeed my Lord is with me, at 26:62, will never panic no matter how hard the test is. This is why mental power in Islam is not ego-based, it's submission-based. Every time you forgive, you're training your heart to be free, and every time your heart releases bitterness, your mind gains space for peace. Many people don't realize that holding grudges isn't a mind problem, it's a heart problem. Fix the heart and the mind will finally rest. The journey of mental strength starts in the quietest parts of you, where nobody sees but Allah. It's when you cry in sujud, not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to surrender. That surrender shifts the heart, and the heart shapes the mind. That's how you become unshakable without being hard, strong without being cold. Remember this, my brothers and sisters, the body follows the mind, but the mind follows the heart. If you want to become mentally unbreakable, don't just feed your brain with lectures, feed your heart with Quran. Because when the heart is sincere and pure, the mind becomes clear and focused, no matter how dark the world gets. Lastly, know that Shaitan doesn't attack your logic, he attacks your heart first. He whispers fear, jealousy, despair, and once the heart believes it, the mind begins to spiral. That's why your greatest protection is not just knowledge, it's a purified heart. On the day when neither wealth nor children will benefit except he who comes to Allah with a sound heart. 26.88 to 99. 2. Why faith is the foundation of strength. True strength does not begin in the body or the mind, then it begins in the heart that trusts Allah. Faith is what holds you together when life falls apart. It's what whispers, Allah is enough for me, when everything else is failing. Without faith, strength becomes pride, and pride breaks under pressure. But when faith is your foundation, you're held up by the one who never collapses. People often think strength means never crying, never being afraid, never doubting. But in Islam, strength is shown in turning to Allah during weakness. The Prophet said, the strong one is not the one who overcomes others, but the one who controls himself when angry. That's faith in action. Letting Allah guide your emotions, not letting ego take over. When a person has faith, every hardship becomes a step closer to Jannah. They don't see the trial as a punishment, but a purification. That shift in mindset is power, because with faith, pain doesn't break you, it transforms you. Without it, the smallest problem can shake your whole life. With it, even mountains of grief become bearable. Faith reminds you that you're not in control. And that's liberating, not limiting. It relieves the mind from the burden of figuring everything out. You don't have to know the future because you trust the one who already does. That belief makes you calmer, more focused, and incredibly resilient. The Prophet Ayub, A.S., lost everything: wealth, health, children. Yet his faith remained unshaken. He didn't ask, why me? He said, indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful. 2183. That's strength not in possessions or power, but in unwavering belief in Allah's mercy. Faith gives you strength because it gives you purpose. Without faith, hardship seems random and cruel. But with faith, you know every pain has a reason, every delay has a wisdom, and every loss is preparing you for something better. That clarity removes despair, and that's the root of inner strength. Your mind may be strong for a time, but it will tire. Your body may be disciplined, but it will age. Faith is the only source of strength that never fades, because it's connected to the eternal. That's why the Qur'an says, verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. 13:28. A heart at rest is a mind at peace. Faith protects your strength from turning into arrogance. It reminds you every victory is by Allah's help. Every recovery, every success, every moment of ease is a gift, not a sign of your superiority. That humility makes your strength lasting because it's rooted in gratitude. When Shaitan whispers fear and doubt, it's not your intelligence that silences him, it's your faith. You say, A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytanir rajim, and suddenly your heart steadies. That simple act of reliance on Allah is mightier than any motivational speech. It builds strength that no one can take away. Many people appear strong but collapse in private, but the one who has faith prays in secret, cries to Allah in sujood, and walks through life with quiet power. That inner world of faith creates outer resilience. Their strength isn't loud, it's unshakable. Faith teaches you to be firm, not forceful, patient, not passive, brave, not reckless. These are the qualities of real strength. Strength with wisdom, guided by divine light. Without faith, strength becomes fragile. With it, even your silent endurance becomes worship. In the end, it is not how much you know, how much you have, or how hard you fight. It is how deeply you trust Allah. When faith is the foundation, everything else finds its place. You can rebuild after loss. You can rise again after failure, because your roots are not in this dunya, they are in the promise of Allah. 3. Controlling thoughts before they control you. Your thoughts are the doorway to your actions, your emotions, and your peace. If you allow negativity to plant itself in your mind, it will grow into worry, fear, and even hopelessness. But Islam teaches us to guard the heart, and the first guard post is your thoughts. When you learn to pause, reflect, and correct a harmful thought before it settles, you take back control. Allah reminds us, indeed, the soul is inclined to evil, except for those upon whom my Lord has mercy. 12:53. Even the most pious are not immune to whispers, but they fight back. Controlling your thoughts means recognizing when a whisper is from shaitan and saying, A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytanir rajim. That one sentence shifts your entire state. Every fear, every doubt, every harsh judgment often begins with a quiet, unnoticed thought. Over time, it gains power. But if you respond early with dua, with remembrance, with positive belief in Allah, you break the chain. The Prophet said, think well of Allah. That's the foundation of healthy thoughts. Husn ad-dhan. When something goes wrong, the mind instantly jumps to why me, what if, or I'm not good enough. But a believer trains their thoughts to say, Qaddar Allahu wa ma sha'a fa'al. Allah decreed it and He does what He wills. That inner response is strength. It doesn't stop the pain, but it stops the pain from owning you. Controlling your thoughts is not about ignoring emotions. It's about guiding them through faith. When sadness comes, feel it, but don't let it define you. When anger rises, notice it, but don't act from it. Your mind becomes peaceful when your heart is connected to Allah. That connection teaches you emotional discipline. Sometimes we confuse overthinking with planning, but overthinking drains your energy, while tawakkul fuels your soul. A mind that repeats, what will I do, becomes anxious. A mind that repeats, what will Allah do for me, becomes calm. That shift in thinking is what separates panic from peace. The Prophet faced slander, loss, hunger, and battle, yet he was always composed. Why? Because his thoughts were filled with dhikr. When people spoke evil, he remembered Allah. When hardship hit, he remembered Jannah. His mindset was protected by constant remembrance, and we are taught to follow that example. Thoughts are like guests. If you don't control who enters, you'll live with the wrong company. Let only those thoughts stay which bring you closer to Allah. If a thought makes you feel despair, hopelessness, arrogance, or envy, that is not from your Lord. Let it go. Replace it with a better one rooted in faith. Controlling your thoughts takes practice. You will fail some days. You will spiral. But even in that moment, if you whisper, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil, Allah is sufficient for me, you begin the journey back. Every good thought is an act of worship. Every time you replace fear with trust, it's a step towards strength. Islam does not ask you to be thoughtless, it asks you to be mindful. Mindful of what you let into your mind. Mindful of what you say to yourself. Mindful of your internal dialogue. The Qur'an is not just a book for reciting, it's a manual for thinking. It shapes how you view the world and yourself. Many people lose battles in their minds before the battle even begins. But the believer says, Inna ma'iya Rabbi sayahdin. Indeed, my Lord is with me, He will guide me. 26:62. That is how you control thoughts, by replacing self-doubt with divine confidence. Not in yourself alone, but in the one who guides hearts. The first moment you notice a negative thought is a golden window. That's the moment to stop, breathe, and turn to Allah. Say a short dua, say astaghfirullah, say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. These are not small phrases, they are spiritual weapons that push back against darkness. When you let your mind wander without supervision, shaitan leads the way. But when you anchor your mind in Qur'an, he flees. Think of how Allah describes believers. They remember Allah while standing, sitting, and lying on their sides. 3191. That remembrance becomes your mental shield. Some people chase mental peace through worldly strategies, books, techniques, and therapy. While these can help, the greatest strategy is sujood. The mind is calm when the forehead touches the earth. When you empty your worries before the one who never tires of listening, your thoughts learn to rest. In the end, you are not defined by the thoughts that come. You are defined by the thoughts you choose to feed. Every day is a battle, but Allah has armed you with guidance, dua, and His nearness. Control your thoughts through faith and your life will follow. A peaceful mind begins with a faithful heart. Fourth Quranic lessons on mental resilience. Mental resilience begins not in the mind alone,